Hello everybody and welcome to another mystery box function challenge. In the purple mystery box there is some math and your challenge is to figure out what it is. You can click the link in the description if you want to try this out, and when you've got an idea, come on back and see if we get the same thing. All right, I'm going to start with a 0. So 0 gives us an infinity error, negative infinity it says. So right away I'm thinking maybe I should be looking for possible rational functions. Let's try a couple of more. 1 gives us 0. How about a 2? 2 gives us 1/8. That's interesting. How about a 3? Oh, and 3 gives us some repeating decimal there. It's a little smaller, so it went up a little bit, and now it's coming back down. How about a 4? Well, now it looks like it's kind of approaching that x-axis as an asymptote, even though it was right on it at 1 and then went a little bit above it. Let's go out further. Yeah, it's getting closer, but it's not quite touching it anymore. So it looks like it's an asymptote on the x-axis. Interesting. Let's look closer to what I think is the vertical asymptote at 0. So 1/2. Yeah, so it's swooping down towards negative infinity there. So we got one arm of what looks to be a rational function here. It's funny that it goes up and then approaches. That's interesting. I don't think we've seen that before. Let's look on the other side. So put in a -1. Gives us 2, -2. That gives us 0.375, which is 3/8. And I think this is going to approach the x-axis as an asymptote too as we go out further. I'm going to put in a -5. And if we put in a -1/2, it should be starting to shoot up towards infinity. -1/2. There we go. Already off the graph at 12. Okay. So this is a tricky one. A couple of things are going on. Our axes appear to be asymptotes, even though this one's a little weird because it crosses the asymptote, which is usually a thing that doesn't happen, but then it definitely seems to approach it as if it's an asymptote on the right. On the left, we get a much more typical arm for a rational function where it approaches that y-axis without ever touching it. Sorry, x-axis without ever touching it. When you have the x-axis as an asymptote, sometimes what that means is that the power on the bottom of your function is bigger than the top. In fact, that's what it always means. You know, in 1/x, that's an asymptote because the power of x is bigger on the bottom than on the top. You can think of the top as x to the 0 and the bottom as x to the 1. So we're looking for something with a bigger power on the bottom. This is not just 1/x. The behavior here does not look like what we're used to there. And I don't think it's x squared on the bottom because we would see, you know, two things on either side of this y-axis, both in the positive values. If that was the case, we wouldn't get any negatives. So what if this is x to the 3rd on the bottom? And I'm suspicious of that because I saw numbers like 1/8 when I put in a 2. And 2 cubed is 8. So that made me think of that. Here, we put in a -2 and we got 3/8. So again, that cube of the number you put in on the bottom of the fraction. But that doesn't quite work, does it? It can't just be 1/x cubed, because if you put in a 1, you should get 1, and we got 0 here. If you put in a 2, you should get, well, you should get 1/8. So it works for 2, but not for 1. Well, how could we make it work for 1? If we put in 1, we're going to get 0. So we need to make the top something. Oh, well, we could just turn this into an x minus 1. Does that work? 1. So 1 minus 1 would be 0 on the top. That would work. How about if we put in a 2? That would be 2 minus 1 over 2 cubed. Aha, so that's 1/8. So that works there. We may have lucked into this. Let's try putting in this 1/2 and see if that works out. That'll be interesting. So 1/2 minus 1 over 1/2 cubed. So 1/2 minus 1 is -1/2 on the top, and 1/2 cubed is 1/8. 1/8, and I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom by 8. So the 8 will cancel there. The 8 there, leaving this a 4. So it's 4 times -1. That should equal a -4. Aha! And that's exactly what we got. So I think we stumbled across this. I'm going to write it out more neatly. So f of x equals x minus 1. That gives us the 0 when we put in a 1 over x cubed. Well, let's take a look. Yeah, x minus 1 over x cubed, and we can graph that as well. Yeah, you see the two arms that we're used to with a rational function? We get this funny behavior around the asymptote over here on the right. Well, how did that go for you? I think that was extremely difficult. Let me know. Thank you.